On tonight's show, a DVD set we absolutely loved, a cell phone trick we could probably live without, and a book that will literally transform the way that you perform your magic. Stay tuned. I'm Josh Norris, filling in for Luke Dancy tonight, who normally hosts the show, and we've got some great magic to talk to you about. But first off, I want to give a shout out to a couple of guys hanging out in the room. We see folks all the way from Washington State. We see guys up in Canada. Let us know where you're watching from. I see Georgia representing tonight. It's always awesome to have you guys on the live show. And tonight we do have some amazing products to talk about. The first one, Dani Daortiz Utopia. This is a DVD set that will absolutely transform your card magic. After that, we'll be talking about Render. This is by Sean Scott. Another one of those cell phone tricks. We'll give you the skinny on that one. And a book that will absolutely change the way that you perform any kind of magic, Scripting Magic by Pete McCobb and 26 other guys. Once again, thank you for tuning in. I see Claude up there in Montreal, Quebec. Thanks for watching, Claude. And you guys, thank you for watching on demand. We're going to get right into the first DVD set. This was on the Glimpse this week. On Friday, every Friday, we post a trick and allow you to ask your questions about the trick or the DVD set and find out what kind of questions you guys have so we can get your input here on the show. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at the trailer for last week's Glimpse. This was Utopia by Dani Daortiz, and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. All right, that was the trailer by Dani Daortiz for Utopia, produced by Luis D'Amato, so you know the production value on this one is incredible. Now, we posted this up on our website, themagicsession.com, this past Friday to allow a few of you to ask your questions, and you did. We'll start right off with JR Magician, who asks, what's your favorite effect on the DVD and why? Honestly, this set is packed full of original and wonderful magic. If we had to choose, it's honestly really tough. There's over 8 hours on these 4 DVDs. We thought that Math Magic from EMC 2011 is a real fooler. It's also pretty easy to do. If you want another selection, take a look at Imaginary Pendulums. This is a brilliant sort of psychological fooler that really burned Luke and I when we watched this. Dani Daortiz has some really killer fooling magic that will fool magicians, but also some stuff that works for laymen too. The next question we had come in on the Glimpse was from Chris Wheel, and he asked, what's the skill level on this set? Now, obviously, you know, with a guy like Dani, there's going to be some advanced sleight of hand in there. The funny thing watching this DVD set is he has this habit of saying that things are extremely easy or simple. And I think that's from his perspective. Someone with his knowledge of card handling and his expertise, these moves are perhaps easy for him, but for a guy like me, most of this is pretty advanced stuff. So watch out for that. The other thing we wanted to mention about his performance style is that a lot like Juan Tamariz, he's very fast, both in his pace of his instruction and his performance, so you'll want to keep up with him. But there is some killer stuff in here. It's really not for the faint of heart, though. It's the kind of material that would be suited for someone who's been studying card magic for some time, who wants to learn some advanced techniques and some new routines, but you probably wouldn't want to grab this if you're just getting started in close-up magic. Matty Bix also posted on the Glimpse earlier this week, and he wanted to know how many tricks were included. There's 4 discs. Obviously, there's a lot of material. This spans almost his entire body of work. We're talking, I think, about 40 tricks, and concepts, as well as a lot of thoughts and sort of theory on magic as well. It really is a packed set. So a couple guys in the room were asking one of the questions that was also asked in the glimpse, which is, does this come with any gimmicks? Now, Dani is really a purist. This is mostly sleight of hand, things that can be done with a regular deck of cards. So there are no gimmicks included. So again, this is advanced sleight of hand. That's really the focus of this DVD. Another question we had that I see popping up again is, really, is this just about tricks, or is there some theory in here as well? Obviously, whenever he's explaining the method of a trick, there's also a pretty good explanation of the theory and the thoughts behind his magic and how he creates his magic. So there's actually a pretty nice blend and variations on tricks. There's interview segments, so it's not all just move after move. What you're really getting here is an advanced card magician's entire body of work. So again, we really do highly recommend this set, but keep in mind this isn't something for the beginner, but it does have some great production value. It has some amazing magic, but it is advanced material. The price on this one, I think, comes in at $150. For a 4-DVD set with this production value, it's filmed in the same studios as the Essential Magic Conference. We think that is a fair deal. Obviously, this isn't a purchase for the beginner, and I think it's priced accordingly. And I think this is something where if you are a student of card magic, you will definitely want to add to your repertoire. We're going to do a new section of the show tonight, something we haven't done in the past, that's simply called Updates.
Where is the update? Give us the update.
All right, guys, updates. We've got a lot going on around the Magic Sessions. A lot of you know we're transitioning over to a new name, Session 1, and a new website to go along with that as well. One of the things we did when we first launched the Magic Session a year ago was we put out what we called our Underground PDFs. Now, if you got our recent set of Underground PDFs, you would have seen some fantastic material, some stuff that hadn't been published before, original essays, original tricks. But we are bringing this back, and the way that it works is as we reach certain levels of likes on our Facebook page. Right now, we're just under the 1,500 mark. As we get to 1,500 likes on our page, we will be releasing the next PDF. So we are literally 26 likes away from the next Underground PDF going out. In order to get that PDF, all you have to do is head on over to facebook.com/WeSession and like our page. That's all it takes, and we will send you that magic. Now, the other cool thing is we have an invite contest going on right now that serves two purposes. One, you'll help us reach those goals so we can put the new PDFs out. And two, you can win some free magic in the process. Now, I know some of you guys have already entered this, and you mentioned that you don't think you can win the Mega Prize Pack. Right now, it looks like our leaders in this have almost over 200 likes on their post, so obviously they've got a big head start. The nice thing is we've added a bonus prize, Leonard Green's Master File, and simply by participating, by posting to the wall right there, you are randomly entered to win some free magic. So you don't have to have 200 magician friends to like your post to win something. The other thing is once we reach 1,500 likes, we'll also be adding a third tier of prizes and another way to enter. So stay tuned for that. If you've been watching our show, last week you would have seen Luke Dancy's interview with Jason Rumbelow, where they talked about pure smoke. Answered some of the questions you may have already been thinking, but also addressed some other things like colored smoke and new releases, so be sure to head over to our YouTube page and check that out for some more information on pure smoke and our full review of it. And as always, you can check all of our reviews on our YouTube page, not just on themagicsession.com, which for you guys with iPads and iPhones, this is welcome news. You now can watch our on-demand catalog on youtube.com/WeSession as well. Let's get back to reviewing some magic. That's all the updates for tonight. The next trick we're going to talk about is render. Now, there's been a lot of cell phone magic coming out lately, and some of them good, some of them bad. But the thing with cell phone tricks is that the audience always wonders, is it the technology that's doing the trick or the magician? And I think this one might fall victim to that. We're going to watch a bit of the trailer, and I'll talk over it a bit as we do. But let me show you the first few effects, and we'll come back and we'll talk about this thing. Okay, so as you can see, this is sort of a variation of producing objects from an iPhone or any sort of smartphone. The method on here is the same. So for every one of these effects, here you see him producing a coin, and it sort of appears right there on the screen. All the methods are the same. There's only one method for this effect, but he shows you a variation of handling and of props that you can use it with. You see here he's taking a picture of an object, and then he's going to try and bring that picture to life. The effects and the routines really vary in their impact. One of the only ones I really liked off the DVD was the very first one you saw there, where the flower appeared on the screen. It was kind of a nice, pretty effect, but a lot of these other effects here don't really have that wow factor. You see him taking a picture of an ice cube in glass, and then he'll make the ice cube here on top of the phone. So it really is versatile and flexible. The question is whether the effect itself is really that strong. Again, this comes back to, is it the cell phone or is it the magician? I think with this one, it's a really fine line. There is that moment when you have a true magical moment where the object appears, but outside of that, you know, all the things that happen on the screen, I think for the most part people realize are recorded videos. This is the last little effect here where he makes a nice little origami crane on the screen. This is one of the nicer effects from the piece, and at the end, as this thing folds up, it will appear as all the other tricks on the screen. So you know exactly what you're getting here. It's a method for producing an object from a video or a photo onto your screen without much funny business. You kind of just shake the phone and it pops up onto the screen. You'll see it right here with the crane. So sort of an object coming to life. You know, on this one, it's pretty straightforward. I think that the handling does have some nice touches. You see him sort of manipulating the phone and showing it on both sides. That is pretty clean. It is pretty hands-off, and this is an easy effect to do. But I don't think it's one that's really going to excite any of your spectators. I picked this up after seeing the trailer with the intention of performing it. Honestly, I did it one night at the restaurant. The reactions really weren't that strong, and it was almost like a throwaway. So maybe if you had an idea or you wanted to produce something to get into another routine, this might be a nice set. I don't think it's an effect that stands on its own, and for the price that they're asking, we'll get down to that real quick, $35. I think your money might be better spent elsewhere on this one. I see Harper's Island is asking, is there a lot of advanced sleight of hand in this one? It's not. It's not self-working. There is some manipulation with the phone itself to show it on both sides. Pretty easy to do, and the gimmick that he includes helps you sort of cleanly show this. So it is a pretty simple sort of beginner effect, but the effect itself, in my opinion, not one of the strongest you can do, and for $35, again, I think you're better off saving your money. Now, really, a place you can always spend your money in magic, that's never a bad idea, is books. We review a lot of DVDs on this show, but as you guys know, while you can spend $35 on a DVD, you can spend the same amount of money on the book and often learn hundreds of tricks. So that brings us to my favorite part of the show and Luke Dancy's It's in a Book.
Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
All right, so tonight on It's in a Book, we will be talking about one of my favorite books I've read in the past probably 3 or 4 years, Scripting Magic by Pete McCobb. I see a last-minute question coming in about our previous trick. Yes, this can be done with any smartphone that has a touch screen or a nice, clean video display, so Android phones and iPhones. But back to Scripting Magic. This is really a book that caught me by surprise. I think a lot of magicians are resistant to the idea of scripting their magic. I've sort of always been the kind of guy over the past 10 years where I kind of add material to my show and work my script out sort of organically, maybe through rehearsal or in the show itself, and I don't really premeditate or spend too much time actually physically writing long scripts. To me, I always had this stereotype of scripting of writing a story trick, okay? So if you were to be writing a script, to me that would be writing some sort of hokey or cheesy story to go along with your magic, and that didn't seem to fit me. But I think my definition of scripting was a little bit off. I think what Pete McCobb talks about in this book, right in the first chapter that really caught me by surprise, is that whether you know it or not, and whether you're doing it intentionally or not, you are already scripting every trick that you do. And whether you write it down or not is another story. So why not take the extra effort to think about the things that we are saying so that even if we're just doing descriptive patter, even if our patter or our script is simply to describe the actions of the trick, well, there's always sort of a cleaner, more direct way of doing that. So if you're asking someone to pick a card, why not think about how you ask them to do that or how that process goes rather than winging it. So whether you write your material out in advance, script it in the formal sense, or whether you work it out in rehearsal and performance, you can always benefit from writing it down. Whether you say these things first and then sort of transcribe them, that is up to you. And the beautiful thing about this book is it's not just written from one person's point of view. Now, Pete McCobb, along with David Riegel, who's also in here, they have a background in scripting, traditional scripting, writing for television and movies. But there's a lot of professional magicians that give their input. It actually says on the cover, it's by Pete McCobb and 26 other guys. And this really is a book that has contributions from a ton of huge names. And what I like about that is you get different perspectives. Not all of us create the same way. Not all of us sit down in a room with a pad of paper and work out a trick in advance. If you're like me, this process might be more organic. But there's guys who give you their techniques, their methods. Teller's in here, Eugene Berger, David Riegel, John Lovick, John Armstrong, Jim Steinmeier. There's also Guy Hollingsworth, Michael Lamar, Kenton Nepper, Michael Close. This list goes on. And all of these guys have their own unique takes and styles on both how they write scripts and the kind of scripts that they write. So there's really a range, everything from explanatory patter all the way up to stories with deep intellectual meanings, things like Eugene Berger and Max Maven do. So really, no matter the kind of magic you perform, doesn't matter if it's a close-up trick, or simple thing you do for friends, or a full stage show, this book really will transform your magic. My routines I've been doing later have been sharper and cleaner and more entertaining than anything I've ever done in the past, and this book is the result of that. So while my process hasn't really changed, I still sit down and work out the trick first and sort of organically come up with my script in rehearsal. I've taken the effort now to go back, record my show, and rewrite things. So I start with the spoken word, and then you edit. And so whether you write first or you speak first, this book, I promise you, will change the way you think and you perform your magic. And I really think this is something that has to go into anyone's library. I see a couple guys writing here that if you're performing a set show, a paying show, that scripting is really important. It's when it's most important. But if you ask me, even in very casual settings, my close-up pieces that I do in the restaurant each week, they've become more entertaining. Your jokes can always be funnier. Your scripts can always be more clear, your instructions more detailed, more concise. You know, we sometimes tend to ramble if we don't have an idea. And the nice thing about a script, a lot of people think that a script makes you sound more recorded, more robotic. But as you learn in a lot of acting classes and improv classes, that having a script actually allows you to be more improvisational, okay? It allows you to be more creative on the spot because when you have a script, you have a place to go back to. So if something funny pops into your head, you can say that without getting off track because you always have a place to return with a script. So I think the books are a great investment, and this one is one of the best you can ever add to your library. Go out, pick up Scripting Magic. This book has a really fair price. It's nicely bound. It's $40. You can get this from most major magic shops, whether it's online or a place you physically shop in, and it will transform your magic. Well, that's all the products for this week. I want to thank you guys for tuning in and putting up with me. Luke Dancy will be back, and I'll hopefully be joining him next week. That's all for now. Keep in touch. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Love to hear what you guys have to say. And as always, be good or be good at it.
Is this your card?
I don't know.
Was it a red card?
I don't know what red is.
Ta-da!